to participate and interact with us. So you may key in your comments, questions, answers, and inputs in the chat box. Also, do not forget to accomplish the attendance form which will shown later on sa inyong mga screen and also provided sa ating chat box. Okay, so to formally start, let's all tune in sa ating mga screens for the invocation followed by the Philippine National Anthem by F&N Hapag Awit Singers.
Sa iyong biyaya, ako ay namamangha sa iyong kalinga. Panganib at di banta sa pag-ibig mo, palaging ligtas ang puso. Saktan, lingkod mo'y nakikinig sa ingay man. Bulong mo'y nagtatangi, pag-asa ikaw. Sa'yo puso ko'y tatapang. Sandigan ang puso ko ay nahanap sa'yo, Kristo, pangalan mo, tanungan ko. Sandigan ang puso ko ay nahanap sa iyo, Kristo, pangalan mo,
Okay, thank you so much sa ating hapag-awit singers and the technical team for the AVP. So moving on, please join me in welcoming FNRI's Director and now Career Scientist 4, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa for her welcome message. Dr. Agdepa, good morning po.
A pleasant and energy-filled morning to everyone. The theme, Safety sa tag-init, is very timely. The Philippines is beyond compare. It is a hidden paradise, home to world-renowned natural wonders, where the waves of the sea meet the sky. This is actually our country. The Philippines, as a tropical country, only has wet and dry seasons. According to the DOST Pag-asa, there is no summer in the country. Filipinos may not be aware of it, and we use summer to refer to hot or warm temperatures during the dry season. Children, teens, and adults are all looking forward to the dry season or summer season, as most vacation-related activities are usually scheduled at this time of the year. A perfect time for everyone who dreams fun and adventures. People spend their leisure time beating the heat in swimming pools and beaches, or simply be refreshed by tropical fruits and cold drinks. Filipinos love to innovate and eat various types of foods with their friends and with their loved ones. Despite the hearty laughs and unforgettable memories radiating in the hot, dry season, safe food and water must always be our concern. If the food and water we consume are not safe, we can fall ill and miss all the fun. We can be less efficient in our daily activities, or worse, it can even lead to serious illness and death in extreme cases. According to the 2016 report of the World Health Organization, acute watery diarrhea was one of the top 10 leading causes of death among Filipinos, with 139,000 lives taken. In 2019, the WHO revealed that 1 in 10 Filipinos has no access to improved water sources. The situation is intensified when the country was hit by El Nino and climate change, which contribute to rising temperatures and water depletion. The Department of Health in 2021 disclosed that food poisoning and diseases from water come from unsafe practices in food handling and preparation, unsafe water sources, improper waste disposal, and unsanitary practices. Hence, we at the DOST-FNRI Food and Nutrition Research Institute will provide quick science-based responses regarding seasonal and constant food safety concerns. With this talk by our experts from the FNRI Food Safety Laboratory, you will be informed about issues commonly encountered on food safety during the dry season. You will learn how to prevent food contamination and be familiar with food ingredients that are less susceptible to food spoilage in warm weather. I would like to thank the participants for supporting this advocacy. Also, my appreciation to our dedicated resource speaker for her commitment to cascade food safety information and tips that are essential, not just on special occasions, but also for daily living. I encourage you to attentively listen and be one of the first participants to apply your learnings from today's event. May you enjoy the very beauty of the Philippines through your planned outings or simple get-togethers with our food safety tips. I would like to end my message with this thoughtful reminder. Simple man ang pagkain na pagsasalu-saluhan, kung malinis at masustansya naman, ay mas hahaba ang ating kasiyahan. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Doc A, for that message. Now, truly, food safety is everyone's responsibility in any season. So para naman makilala natin ang ating mga kasama sa umagang ito, may I call on Mr. Nicole M. Bristol for the introduction of participants and their expectations for this webinar.
Thank you.
Hello po, good morning po. Ma'am Elise, rinig po ako.
Yes,
Ayan,
sir. Go ahead
ayan po,
po.
sorry po for the slight technical error po. And again, I'm Nicole M. Bristol po, and I'm here to introduce our participants and their expectations in today's F&N Talks Episode 3, Safety sa tag-inEAT. So we are now joined by 117 Zoom participants. And again po, good morning po sa ating Director 4 and Scientist 4, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa, and to Dr. Milflor S. Gonzalez, Officer in Charge of the Office of the Deputy Director of DOST, the F&NRI, and Chief Science Research Specialist of KDSDSD. So our 117 Zoom participants this morning came from following various sectors po. So we have participants coming from government offices and agencies. Ito po yung kanilang mga ahensya and opisina. Thumbs up po sa ating mga kindly hit thumbs up po doon po sa mga ating participants this morning coming from government offices and agencies. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. We also have participants coming from state universities and colleges, mga students, faculties, and nutritionist dietitians from these state universities and colleges. Hello po sa inyo lahat. Good morning po. We also have participants from health offices and hospitals. Magandang umaga rin po sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat po sa inyong attendance this morning. Also, we also have participants coming from these organizations, from these media outlets, and from private institutions and company. Good morning po. And ayan po, ang ating po mga participants ay galing po sa mga sectors na ito. During the registration po, you were asked about your expectations in today's F&N Talks Episode 3. Ito po yung mga naging responses ng ating mga participants on what they expect on these F&N Talks. Majority of them said na they want to gain new knowledge on food safety and how to prevent food spoilage. Also, they also want to learn proper ways, correct ways of storing foods, temperature check, tips on food preparation suitable for summer or outdoor trips, and they also want to learn types of food hazards. So, hopefully po masagot po ito ng ating resource person this morning, and sana po makagain po tayo ng new knowledge po with regards to food safety, especially to our summer or outdoor trips. Again, sa ating pa mga participants this morning, welcome po to F&N Talks and magandang umaga po. Over to you, Ma'am Elise.
Thank you, sir, and welcome sa ating mga participants no, from different institutions all over the Philippines. So, hindi ko na po papatagalin ang lahat. And it is my honor to introduce to you our resource speaker for today's webinar. Let's just wait for the slide po, no? But I will start na po. She is a registered chemist with master's degree in food science. Currently, she is a senior science research specialist from the Food Quality and Safety section of the Institute, wherein she's involved and also leads researches in line with food quality and safety for close to 10 years now. She is also a recipient of various local and international awards and recognitions in oral and poster presentations, academic excellence, among others. So, ladies and gents, she is no other than Miss Rose Elaine P. Gilaran. Ma'am Elaine, welcome po. The virtual floor is yours na po.
Okay, maraming salamat Miss Elise for that very kind introduction. And again, good morning po sa ating about 122 Zoom participants and welcome po sa ating webinar on food safety sa tag-inEAT. Okay, now that the screen is already visible sa ating lahat, I will be going straight sa ating presentation. Ano po, kami po, ang aming grupo from the Food Quality and Safety section of the DOST-FNRI ay magpapahabol lamang ng konting kaalaman on food safety bago tayo tuluyang magpaalam sa ating summer season. No? Magbibigay tayo ng kaunting tips on how we can ensure food safety sa tag-init or let's say sa ating mga outdoor trips whenever we feel like eating outside or planning out outdoor trips with our families and friends. Okay, our webinar objective specifically is to introduce the concept of food safety hazards sa ating mga participants this morning and that we would like to provide practical food safety tips when eating or preparing food outdoors, especially during warm season. And of course, para ma-deliver natin ang ating mga nabanggit na objectives, our presentation will be divided into two major topics. We will be going over sa introduction sa ating food safety, some definitions, basic definitions on food safety hazards, and we will also be tapping sa mga important factors na pwede nating malaman and ma-consider para tayo po ay maging equipped kung ano ba ang mga factors na kailangan nating malaman regarding the growth of these microorganisms, kung paano ba natin sila ma-discourage na magparami sa ating mga pagkain. And then the second segment would be focusing mainly on the practical tips. Bibigyan natin ng emphasis ano ba ang difference when we eat outdoors versus indoor. And of course, we will be citing a few examples ng mga foodborne illness outbreak na ito po ang atin talagang main reason or primary rationale kung bakit natin kailangan i-ensure ang safety ng ating mga pagkain. Ito po ang ating iniiwasan ng mga outbreaks, ang mga health effects or bad health effects ng mga unsafe foods. And of course, last would be the food safety tips. Kung tayo po ay for sure ang ating hindi natin maiiwasan na tayo po ay magkaroon ng ganitong plano for outdoor cooking. So we will be giving you some food safety tips regarding these types of activities. Okay, so first things first, we'd like to define food safety as the assurance that food will not cause harm to the consumer when it is prepared and or eaten according to its intended use. And food safety hazards, on the other hand, refers to any agent with the potential to cause adverse health consequences for consumers. And these hazards may actually be introduced po sa ating at any point ng ating food supply. May it be during harvesting the crops, may it be during the course of formulating our products, processing it to para ma-produce natin ang ating final product up to the packaging, labeling, and even pag ita-transport na natin siya, iso-store, and even bago natin siya i-prepare and i-serve sa ating mga kapamilya or sa consumers in general. And itong mga food safety hazards na ating nabanggit and na-define a while ago are technically into 3 types. Meron tayong physical, chemical, and biological hazards. Now, physical hazards are foreign materials which are unintentionally introduced to food products or are naturally occurring objects that are hazardous to the consumer. So makikita natin in this slide are the few examples, yung mga broken glass, yung mga naliligaw na plastics, metals, mga bato-bato, at mga maliliit na piraso ng kahoy or even yung mga tinik and buto ng ating mga fish products or meat products. Now, they are usually non-toxic naman but are associated mostly with unsanitary conditions during production, sa pag-prepare ng pagkain, sa pagpaprocess. And they are considered hazardous due to their hardness, yung sharpness nila, size, or shape. So kapag na-encounter natin ito, it may cause lacerations, perforations, and even wounds, at lalo na sa ating mga babies, sa ating mga bata. Ito po ay hindi maganda. Ito po ay pwedeng maging choking hazard sa kanila. So another types of hazard ay ang ating chemical hazards. Now, these are the substances that are present in food at levels that can be actually hazardous to humans. These may include yung mga toxins, dangerous chemicals, residue of excess chemicals used in processing food products. So makikita po natin na ang chemical hazards may either be naturally occurring like yung mga aflatoxin natin in peanuts, yung mga toxins na napoproduce ng ating mga marine products. And meron naman from naturally occurring, meron din tayong mga possible chemical hazards na since unintentional, ito po ay pinapertain natin contaminants. So meron tayong mga intentionally added naman. So itong mga intentionally added, ito yung mga ginagamit nating substances sa ating pagkain na ang expectation natin is for them to deliver certain technological functions or purposes. Like yung ating mga preservatives, ang ating mga colorants, ang ating mga sweeteners, and the likes. Now, from intentionally, meron din tayong chemical hazards which are unintentionally added or yung presence nila ay unintentional. Nagiging part sila ng food natin unintentionally. For example, ito po ay yung mga pesticides na ginagamit natin sa ating mga crops for purposes of enhancing or promoting yung growth and health ng ating plants or ng ating crops. But eventually, nagpo-pose sila ng food safety concerns in terms of their residues sa ating mga pagkain. Also, ang ating mga animal produce na pinibigyan natin ng mga veterinary drugs for their growth and their health din. So, merong instances na kapag hindi natin na-estimate yung tamang withdrawal before slaughter ng animals na ito, yung mga residues ay possible na mag-pose ng hazard sa ating health. And then, another example are the food allergens. Ito namang food allergens will be very specific. Meron tayong special segment ng population na merong sensitivity to certain ingredients like yung nuts, yung milk. Ito po ang example ng food allergens which is also falling under the chemical hazards na type. Next type of hazards are the biological hazards. These are pathogenic organisms that are introduced to food and pose a food safety concern to consumers. These include bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi. Now, ang mga hazards po na ito may be introduced along our food chain and due to insufficient processing or mishandling poor hygiene practices ng ating food, pwede silang hindi mamatay, or let's say hindi sila nade-destroy ng mga insufficient process natin. So nare-retain sila sa food and they remain viable and they survive sa ating food enough na mag-manifest sa atin ng mga illnesses like diarrhea, vomiting, and mga usual signs ng ating mga foodborne illnesses. Okay, and actually itong mga hazards na nabanggit natin, the biological hazards, ito po yung mga gusto nating iwasan as much as possible because these hazards are the causative agents ng ating mga foodborne illnesses as I've mentioned. So, few popular examples natin yung mga salmonella, E. coli, ito po yung hepatitis A. Ayan. So, since ito po ang ating mga main na intention na kailangan nating ma-suppress, no? Hindi natin, kumbaga ang mga bacteria kasi na to ay like us, meron silang growth or survival requirements, and that we need to consider and that we have to be aware kung ano ba yung mga factors na nag-encourage ng kanilang growth. And also, conversely, yung mga factors na pwede nating makontrol para hindi natin sila ma-encourage na mag-multiply sa ating pagkain. So, ang factors na ito usually sa ating mga food safety trainings are being referred to by the mnemonic FATOM. Now, ang FATOM, let's just first define individually. Ano po? Ang F stands for food, and then acidity, time, temperature, oxygen, and moisture. Now, kailangan nating maintindihan ang mga optimal conditions ng bacteria for their bacterial growth para ma-reduce natin yung potential ng bacterial infections and food poisoning. So let's discuss individually the different factors. So itong ating FATOM. Okay, first, let's discuss the first factor, yung food. So in food safety, meron tayong term na potentially hazardous foods. These are the foods that has to be kept at a certain temperature to minimize multiplication of any food poisoning bacteria that may be present in the food or to prevent the formation of toxins in the food. Ngayon, ano ba yung mga PHF na tinatawag natin? So usually, sila yung mga food that contains high amounts of nutrients, protein, and moisture because ito rin yung mga kailangang ma-access ng ating mga bacteria for their survival. So, itong mga types ng gantong pagkain, they are considered as potentially hazardous and are considered also as high-risk foods as these favors, based sa kanilang mga characteristics, they favor microbial growth, especially when exposed sa ating tinatawag na temperature danger zone na mababanggit natin in a while. So yung temperature danger zone is on 5 degrees to 60 degrees Celsius. So as mentioned again, ang ating PHF ay generally moist, nutrient-rich foods with a neutral pH. Examples of which nakikita po natin sa ating mga slides, ang raw meat and cooked meat, meron tayong cooked rice and pasta, dairy products, seafood, among others. Now, the next factor is acidity. Now, the degree of acidity or alkalinity of a substance is measured by its pH. Now, pH is being measured on a scale of 0 to 14, and an environment with a pH of 7 is exactly neutral, yung ating water, And then foods with pH below 7 are considered acidic, and pH above 7, ito po ang tinatawag nating mga basic na pagkain. Now, yung mga high acid foods that we see in the slide, these are foods with pH less than or equal to 4.6, including fruits, ang ating jams, jellies, and honey. So itong mga product na to may be naturally high in acid, or you might acidify products then by adding acid like vinegar, yung mga wine, lemon juice, para maibaba natin ang pH ng ating pagkain. Also, yung pickling and fermenting the foods po lowers the pH enough to discourage growth of many microorganisms. Ito namang low acid food, yung second frame natin, yung may mga pH above 4.6 but less than 7. Examples nila ay ang ating mga dairy products, fruit juices, chicken, and eggs. So they are considered as ito po ang mga popular examples natin of our PHF or potentially hazardous foods because they are more susceptible to microbial contaminations. Okay, the next factor is time. Okay, yan. So yung microorganisms, they multiply at an exponential rate. They can grow from hundreds to millions in just a few hours. Ito po yung nakikita natin na image on our top right. So that shows how bacteria can multiply in a very short period of time. Now, to help us determine if our potentially hazardous foods are still safe after some time, we can use the 2R 4R rule, especially kung ang ating pagkain ay naka-expose sa ating temperature danger zone ranging from 5 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. So if we have a potentially hazardous food exposed at this temperature range, here's how we can apply the rule. So if it's less than 2 hours, we use immediately or consume immediately the food, or either we refrigerate at temperature lower than 5 degrees Celsius para mas slow down natin ang probable growth, or we may keep them hot at temperatures greater than 60 degrees Celsius. So in short, iwas natin sila na pumasok sa ating temperature danger zone. Now, if the food is between 2 to 4 hours, andun pa rin yung caution that we have to consume it immediately. So there's the probability na meron na tayong growth, but within this number of hours, yung growth nila is not really reaching the level na enough pa para para mag-elicit ng bad effect or bad health effect sa atin. But after 4 hours, we have to discard the food already kasi significant na ang naging growth ng microorganisms sa pagkain natin after 4 hours of standing. Okay. So the next is temperature. No, as mentioned a few times, mahalaga rin na consideration ng temperature sa growth ng organisms. And with this, we need to be critical doon sa temperature danger zone na nababanggit ko na multiple times. So according to the USDA, ang temperature danger zone is covering 5 degrees and 60 degrees Celsius. And this is the temperature range na ideal for our microorganisms to multiply. Now, as stated sa 2R, 4R rule kanina, food should not remain in the TDZ or temperature danger zone for more than 2 hours and either be cooled or heated para maiwasan natin ang danger zone na ito. And that food in the TDZ can only be stored for a maximum of 4 hours. And after 4 hours, as I've said, we have to discard the food as this is mataas ang chance that the food is already unsafe for consumption. An important key here is that as much as possible, huwag po natin hayaang magstay ang ating pagkain in the temperature danger zone ng matagal, yung prolonged exposure nila sa zone na ito. And the temperature control is very important. We keep hot foods hot and we keep cold foods cold. Now, second to the last significant factor is yung oxygen requirement. Now, microorganisms have variable oxygen requirement for growth. So we have the aerobic microorganisms. Ito po ang mga oxygen requiring like the Salmonella and the E. coli. However, meron tayong group of microorganisms that can survive in the absence of oxygen. These are the non-aerobic microorganisms or the Clostridium species na nakikita natin sa ating mga canned foods na probable na tumubo or mag-grow sa ating mga canned foods. Now, as a food safety reminder with respect sa ating oxygen as a significant factor, one thing na pwede nating i-recommend is for us to cover or seal our food at all times. No, yung storing foods in low oxygen environment or atmosphere like yung sealed containers, yung refrigerator will actually provide additional barrier or hurdle for the microorganism na mag-grow at mag-thrive sa ating mga pagkain. Last factor is the moisture, which is necessary for bacterial growth. And moisture content is, I may define, is the amount of water in food expressed as a percentage and expressed as percentage. Well, another important parameter, especially po when we're talking about food safety, is the water activity. The water activity is also called free water. It's the amount of water available for microorganisms. Ito yung mga free na water molecules na pwedeng ma-access ng ating microorganisms para masupply ang kanilang mga growth requirements. And it is measured on a scale of 0 to 1. And the higher the water activity ng pagkain natin, the greater is there the chance of bacterial contamination. So yung bacteria, yeast, and molds, they multiply rapidly with a high water activity level above 0.86. So sa ating pinakikita dito na illustration, yung mga meats, yung mga fresh produce natin and soft cheeses are examples of foods with water activity in the range na nabanggit nating enticing para sa ating mga bacteria, yung 0.86 and 1. So just to share another food safety reminder from our group, we have to ensure that these foods are stored at proper temperatures with reduced moisture, no? Yung water activity in food, pwede natin siyang makontrol like by drying, by addition of sugar or even salt, and freezing. So yung mga methods na to, matutulungan tayo to prevent spoilage and also to preserve or sustain the food quality ng ating pagkain. And also yung mga nabanggit natin, itong FATOM, yung combination of these factors, yung food, acidity, up to the moisture content, they can yung kanitong factors na to are crucial to their survival. Thus, kailangan natin carefully ma-manipulate ang mga factors na ito, ma-monitor to keep the integrity and ensure the safety of our food items. Okay, so I guess that ends the first segment ng ating presentation, and we will be pausing for a quick health break, and I'll be turning over muna sa ating very endearing na moderator, Miss Elise.
Yan, thank you so much, Ma'am Elaine, for that very informative discussion on the introduction of food safety, no? So, para ma-digest muna natin yung discussion and later on, no, we will apply it sa ating practical tips for outdoor cooking. We'll be having a 10-minute break. So, stretching na po tayo, but please come back for the second part of the discussion. So, it's now 9:40. So please come back at 9:50 a.m. Also po, if you have any questions for our speaker, kindly key it in sa ating chat box for open forum later. Also, do not forget po to accomplish the attendance, and the link is now nasa chat box po. Thank you so much and see you later. Ayan. Okay, so good morning po again. Andito na po ba ang ating mga participants? Kindly react po with a thumbs up. So after our health break, no, just a quick refresher for the first part of the webinar. Ma'am Rose Elaine talked about the definition of food safety, the food safety hazards, which is the physical, chemical, and biological hazards, and the different factors affecting the growth of microorganisms, which is yung ating FATOM, the food, acidity, time, temperature, oxygen, and moisture. So as a transition to the next topic and to see kung andito na talaga ba ang ating mga participants, we will be having a short game. So sa next slide, I will be showing pictures of yung different landmark of a very popular summer destination in the Philippines. So isa lang po yung sagot dito, no? So paunahan na lang po sa paghula or pagsagot and you can type it in the chat box. So ready na po ba ang lahat? Okay. Yes, may prize po tayo. See? So for our game number 1, guess the place, no? So I'll be showing the first picture. No. Second, parang may nakahula na, no? Third, and the fourth. So tama po, no? Kindly confirm po if on my end, ang nanalo po ay si Ma'am Rosemary Dumag.
Same with me, Ma'am Elise, si Ma'am Rosemary.
Congrats po, Ma'am Marie. Ay, Ma'am RT. So, okay. Thank you. Mukhang ready na po ang ating participants. May mga sumasagot na rin, Ma'am Elaine. Ready na po ba kayo for the second part?
Okay. Ma'am Elise, na-announce ba natin ano ang premyo ng mga nanalo sa ating game?
Exciting prize. Ano ba yan, Ma'am Elaine? Ano bang papremyo nyo? Pwede mo sumagot dyan. Sige, later on, no, we will announce po kung magkano. Sige. Sige po, Ma'am Elaine.
Okay. So from Baguio, balik po tayo sa ating webinar. And we're now on the second portion of our presentation, which is on the practical tips on food safety sa tag-init. Okay, nasa na ba tayo? Yan. Sige. Kindly click next na lang, Ma'am Elise. Okay, so earlier yung pictures na pinakita ni Miss Elisa, no? Though ang Baguio po ay isa sa ating mga interesting and usual actually na destination during summer. Now with those trips, of course, we cannot omit yung ating exciting element of eating or what we usually pertain to as food trips whenever meron tayong biyahe. And ngayon, as we go outside, isama po natin ang food safety sa perspective na ito. Tingnan natin ang food safety when we go eating by the beach, preparing foods during camping, picnics, and the likes, on top po ng ating pinag-usapan na FATOM. Okay. So in this slide, we present indoor versus outdoor cooking. Bakit nga ba mayroong significant difference ang two setups na ito? And why is that nagpo-pose ng food safety concerns when we go from indoor to outdoor cooking, especially yung ating risk for food poisoning, for contamination, and all others? So let's cite a few difference sa ganitong setup. Sige po, pakiclick na lang ang next. Okay. First, kapag tayo ay nag-shift to outdoor cooking, we take foods out of the regular environment. Sa kitchen, we have the control ng ating environment. Ano po? And also, we use alternative storages para sa ating mga pagkain. Gumagamit tayo ng coolers, ng mga ice box na due to the external factors, possible na medyo mawala yung ating control sa temperature and the likes. And another is yung prolonged exposure of these foods to the temperature danger zone na napag-usapan natin. Like, we cook yung mga baon natin earlier. So, iluluto natin ngayon and then i-consume natin later pa kapag dumating na tayo sa ating destination. And also, yung inadequate storage ng ating food, no? Yung cross-contamination between cooked and uncooked na baon. So, yung fruits mixed with beverages. So, minsan nandun din yung ating question sa cleanliness ng mga yelo na ginagamit natin sa ating mga baon. Another is the lack of hand washing facilities for some areas. So yung mga destinations natin, minsan nagkakaroon ng lack sa mga hand washing area o kaya kapag maraming tao, tayo kapag medyo running out of time or impatient, minsan hindi na tayo pumipila kapag nakita nating mahaba ang pila. Ano po? And then, minsan nandun din yung ating wrong notion na lalo na kapag nagsuswimming tayo, malinis naman ang kamay kasi galing tayo sa paligo, basa ang kamay, so malinis na ang notion ng karamihan. So, diretso na tayong kumakain. Then another is yung tables or the preparation area may not be thoroughly cleaned. So yung mga tabletops, yung mga picnic tables na kinakainan natin, if not thoroughly clean, that may increase the risk of contamination habang inihahanda or inilalatag natin ng ating mga baon. And then also yung inadequate cooking na risk din, since people are in a hurry to eat, kapag medyo nalibang habang naliligo, kwentuhan, so medyo nakukulangan din ng oras sometimes sa pagpe-prepare ng food. And also, minsan meron tayong mga kasamahan na mag-volunteer na mag-ihaw, yung grilling, and ayun, gagamit tayo ng mga stove na minsan hindi tayo completely familiar with. So minsan hindi sanay mag-ihaw. Ayan, so yung mga identification if cooked na ba ito or not. And then, of course, yung factors or yung opportunities for contamination, mas mataas sa labas. So yung mga environment na hindi natin nako-control, unlike yung kitchen natin na talagang under control natin yung mga facilities or equipment or gamit natin. Okay? So during outdoor trips during outdoor trips, we miss out yung important factors that we have mentioned a while ago, yung FATOM. And due to the different scenarios din na nabanggit natin in outdoor cooking or eating, nagkakaroon or nai-increase natin yung probability of a foodborne illness outbreak. Now, a foodborne illness outbreak, technically by definition, when 2 or more people get the same illness from the same contaminated food or drink, the event is called a foodborne illness outbreak. And ito po ang ating ultimate na iniiwasan. Kaya kailangan nating patuloy na i-remind ng isa't isa about food safety. Okay, and in the next slide, makikita po natin, will be flashed, i-flash natin yung mga reported na mga foodborne outbreaks in the Philippines. So ito po ay mga reported pa lamang. So nandito po at lagi tayong open sa case for underreporting. Meron tayong mga hindi nare-report pa, but these are the reported ones. And technically, ito po ay medyo marami na. Okay. So now let's go to the food safety tips for outdoor cooking. So we separated or sinegmentize namin yung tips namin from pre-outing activities to transportation up to cooking and before consumption ng ating mga biyahera and turista. Okay. So for the pre-outing activities, meron tayong nire-recommend na 4 Ps. So first is to plan meals that are not easily perishable. So meaning, pipiliin natin kung ano yung mga meals na babaunin natin. And most of these meals, marirecommend natin na pumili ng mga hindi madaling mapanis. So usually, di ba po kapag tayo ay nag-outing, ano ba mga usual food choices natin? Meron tayong adobo, o kaya yung mga yung mga relatively dry foods. Meron tayong mga tuyo, hotdog. So yung mga technically, yung mga low moisture or water activity na may low water activity na food para ma-prevent natin yung moisture from coming in and encourage the microorganisms. Meron din tayong mga option for binagoongan o yung mga salty na type ng pagkain. Another P is part, portion, or separate. So we keep cold food cold and hot foods hot. Like what we've mentioned kanina, para maiwasan natin yung temperature danger zone. So yung mga perishables and non-perishables, kailangan i-partition natin sila in such a way na ma-minimize natin yung risk for cross-contamination. So it can be performed by securing raw meats. Tapos, pwede rin nating i-package well sila to prevent leakage of their juices. And then, ayun, pwede na isa-separate natin yung mga ready-to-eat na and cooked foods versus doon sa mga raw foods na lulutuin pa lamang natin on-site. Next is to prepare. So prepare beforehand as much as possible as long as kaya. So pwede na tayong mag-pre-cut, pwede rin tayong mag-pre-pack ng meats and other ingredients. Like, for example, we can cut meat, vegetables, and other ingredients into their serving sizes or serving size pieces before leaving home, and have all the salads and ready to eat, and yung mga salads na ready to eat na. So nakat na natin sila sa bahay. Kumbaga isasalin na lang natin sila. And this will actually reduce the need na i-handle pa natin yung food further, particularly sa mga areas na medyo may limited tayo na hand washing facilities. The last P would be to pack. So meron tayong different types of food separately, and then meron tayong cleaning materials for hands and surfaces. So we can encourage na let's not pack food for a picnic if it has just been cooked and is still warm. So I guess parang meron na tayong nag-arise na question na ganito, ano po. So unless it will be kept hot above 60 degrees Celsius or eaten within 4 hours of being cooked. Dun po sa tanong ni ma'am, mas recommended na tulad nun, hindi na muna tinatakpan. Parang we allow heat na mag-escape sa ating food in an open environment. Kasi pag tinakpan natin sila, na-observe po natin na nagpapawis yung ating mga storage or yung mga containers natin. And the pawis na tinatawag po natin will eventually provide moisture sa ating food. And that increase in moisture ng ating pagkain offers an opportunity para sa ating mga opportunistic na microorganisms to thrive sa ating food. Okay? And actually, pwede namang another is yung mag-prepare tayo ng materials for cleaning hands, food, utensils, and the likes. And also, we can pack frozen foods while still frozen para ma-prolong pa natin yung state niya na malamig or nakayelo. And also to maintain cold temperature in cooler. So ito I think naman very well informed ang ating mga biyahero kapag pagdating dito. So meron tayong mga dinadalang mga coolers or ice box, and of course hangga't kaya we keep them close para ma-minimize natin or ma-control natin yung pag-increase ng temperature. Okay, so next is for the transportation. So let's estimate time of travel and make sure to maintain recommended storage temperature of our packed foods. So let's make sure na meron tayong nadalang enough ice to keep the perishables cold. Tapos kung talagang we really take food safety na seryoso, we can invest sa ating mga thermometers para makita natin kung talagang contain natin yung food. So yung iba merong separate cooler na puro ice pack po. And then kapag nakakita nila na nag-i-increase na yung temp dun sa cooler na may pagkain, magdadagdag tayo ng ice para lalo nating ma-maintain yung temperature. However, kapag talagang it's going to be a long travel para sa atin, we can consider purchasing the perishable ones sa mga malapit na palengke doon sa pupuntahan natin. Okay, third is on cooking and food handling. So Okay, I think pwede nating i-shift sa next slide. Yan. So, cleaning. So, meron tayo ditong ipopromote na 3. Kung tama, meron tayong clean, separate, and then cook. So, sa cleaning, of course, the usual na recommendations, above sanitizers and alcohols, yung ating hand washing remains to be the most effective measures for food safety. No? Ihugasan ng kamay and other food contact surfaces as often as you can. Of course, rinse the fresh fruits and vegetables under tap water, and then dry produce and hands with paper towel. Next is to separate. Okay. So, sa separate na advice na to, we do not encourage reusing platter or utensils. So, using the same platter or utensils na previously pinagamitan ng ating raw meat, poultry, and seafood allows bacteria actually from the raw foods juices to spread to the cooked food. So instead, we recommend that let's have a clean platter and utensils ready at kumbaga at real site to serve your food. So parang meron tayong separation ng raw and meron tayong paglalagyan naman ng cook na. So if possible then pwede rin tayong gumamit ng magkahiwalay na cutting board. So ito yung cutting board na for fresh produce, yung mga ingredients, yung mga carrots, mga sibuyas, ganyan. And separate one naman para doon sa mga potentially hazardous foods natin like yung raw meat, poultry, and seafood na usually may mga katas-katas pa kapag kinakat natin. Okay? Next is the advice to cook food thoroughly. So thoroughly kasi technically meron tayong mga required na minimum internal temperature ng ating mga meat para masabi or ma-determine natin na thoroughly cooked na ang ating meat. So actually, we are usually guided po sa kulay or texture ng meat. But ang pinaka-effective na reference natin para masabing luto na talaga ang pagkain is actually yung internal temperature ng ating meat. So naka-flash po sa ating screens kung ano-ano yung mga internal temperature ng type of meat kapag sila po ay sinasubject to cooking. And actually, food thermometer, baka lang po may magtanong, using a food thermometer po is the only way to ensure the safety of meat, poultry, seafood, and egg products for all cooking methods. So these foods must be kept and must be cooked to a safe minimum internal temperature para mag-guarantee tayo na na-destroy natin ang any harmful bacteria na present sa meat before cooking. Okay? And last is on serving and consumption. So ito po, we highly suggest applying or employing the 2-hour rule. Okay, so let's remember and go back doon sa ating FATOM, sa ating mga significant factors that affect the growth of our microorganisms. And then next is for us to serve smaller portions. So we serve cold food in small portions and keep the rest in the cooler. So hindi po natin lahat ilalabas hanggang kaya para utik-utik lang yung term nila para hindi natin ma-lower yung temperature ng buo na food natin. And then, yung mga ginreel or inihaw natin, if possible, kaya natin siyang ma-preserve na hot until served at 60 degrees Celsius or warmer. And then, again, yung reminder on keeping hot foods hot. And then, yan, nakalagay po dito. Kung kaya, nakatabi lang siya doon sa ating grill. Kasi medyo mainit pa sa side na yon. And of course, the last but not the least and the usual advice is wash your hands thoroughly before eating. So again, let's refrain from the connotation na kapag naliligo ka, kapag wet na yung hands mo from swimming, it's already clean and that we can go directly to our foods. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's all. And just to provide you with the synthesis ng ating second portion. Ano po, ipinresent natin ano ba yung mga different scenario or ano yung differences in terms of food safety kapag nasa loob ka at kapag nasa loob ka kumain. And of course, pinakita natin yung ilang reported na foodborne illnesses outbreak sa atin na bansa yung mga reported. And then the food safety tips na sinegregate namin into 4 segments of pre-outing activities, the 4 P's, transportation, cooking, and food handling, and last is the serving and consumption. So I guess that's all. And I'd like to thank everyone for your valuable time and kind attention sa ating webinar this morning. So I'll be turning over the microphone to our moderator, Miss Elise. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Elaine, for that very practical tips in ensuring food safety for our outdoor trip. So, sino ba sa atin ang nabitin sa first game? Gusto niyo pa ba? Yes, so narinig ko yes. Anyway, we will be having our second game na medyo i-level up natin. This is to check kung talagang nakuha po natin ang mga key learning points natin. So, for a while, I'll just be sharing the screen. Okay. So, here are the mechanics of the game shown on your screen. So, kindly go to www.menti.com and kindly key in the code provided. So, kung medyo hindi visible, it is 3505-7754. Again, sa mga kaya po na magbukas ng browser, kindly go to www.menti.com, key in the code which is 3505-7754. So please use yung Zoom name nyo po no, sa when you enter the name on the menti.com site. So overall, we will have 5 questions and you will be given 15 seconds to answer each question. So pabilisan po ito sa pagsagot. And of course, ang mananalo po ay yung may pinakamataas na score. Tama ba, Ma'am Elaine? They will be winning 100 pesos GCash load.
Yes,
Wow.
Miss Elise.
Ma-excite po tayo for that. So currently, meron na pong 24 na nasa Mentimeter. So we'll be waiting for a few more. So we are currently 140 sa Zoom. Good morning po ulit. Okay, so let's wait po until it reach 30 or 35. Again po, 5 questions and 15 seconds to answer each. So 29 na po ang nasa Menti natin. Just one more, then we will proceed po. Ayan, may mga humahabol pa. So let's wait po hanggang 35 para highly competitive ang ating game. Ayan, 40 na kaya? We still have time pa naman. Let's wait po for 40 participants. Again, www.menti.com and the code 3505-7754. I'll be putting it in the chat box na rin po para hindi po kayo mahirapan. Menti.com. Menti.com. Kindly change your name po sa Zoom name niyo po for easy tracking of winner. Ayun po. So, isa na lang para mag-40. Okay. Sino pa po ang hahabol? 39. Okay. Yan, 40. So, ready na po ang lahat. Okay, let's start. Yan. So, question number 1. Ayan, no? Kikita nyo ba sarili nyo dyan? Ayan, 47 na tayo. 48. Ayan, sino kayang manana? Ayan, 50. Dumadami pa po tayo, no? So let's start na po. So for the first question, temperature range in which microorganisms grow rapidly to dangerous level that can cause an illness. Okay, 15 seconds to answer. Okay, mga 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Wow, so majority nakuha na it is the temperature danger zone. So sino kaya ang ating leader for this question? That is si Miss Maria Angeline Roluna. So may chance pa po tayo no to make habol. Kasi may 4 questions pa tayo natitira. So second question po. Okay. Ready na ba lahat? True or false? Most pathogens can grow at pH values between 4.6 and 9. But sour foods, pH below 4.6, discourage the growth of many microorganisms. True or false? Time's up. And majority po ang nakakuha ng tama, which is 43. Very good. So sino po kaya? May nagbago po kaya sa ating leaderboard? Wow. Wow, si Miss Francesca Garcia. Pero ang fastest natin ay si Mr. or Miss Jean. So, pwede pa tayong humabol, no? For the third question, kaka-excite. Question number 3. It is the event when 2 or more people get the same illness from the same contaminated food or drink. Okay, so alin po kaya dyan? 3, 2, 1. Key in your answers. Time's up. So, majority po, no, it is a foodborne illness outbreak. Yung present ni Ma'am kanina nung maraming headlines po, no, na 20 children and all. So, for our fourth, sino yung number 1 pala? Ayan, may nag-change na po sa ating ranking, no? Fastest for this for this question is Miss Alisa Ratilla, but the number 1 is Mr. or Miss Jean. Okay, so kaya pa ba ng mga puso nyo? For the fourth question, sige, kakakabang, kinakabahan ako. Answer fast to get more points. These food hazards are materials unintentionally introduced to food products or naturally occurring objects that are hazardous to the consumer. What is this type of hazard? We have chemical, biological, and physical. So, time's up. So, medyo hati, no? It is physical hazards. So, ang key dito is materials unintentionally introduced. So, let's see. Excited na ba tayo sa result? Fastest for this round ay si Miss Patricia Elise Kahanding, but the number 1 so far is Miss Alisa Beatriz Ratilla. Very close fight, no? Oo nga. Andyan ba ang iyong mga pangalan? Okay, for the last question, ito na ang ating final round. Okay, so it is a true or false. It is recommended to use the same cutting boards, platters, and utensils for raw and cooked food. True or false? True. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Okay, time's up na po. And yes, false po ang sagot for this one. Kasi as what Ma'am Elaine mentioned, use separate cutting boards for different types of food. Okay, ito na po. Sino kaya ang ating nasa leaderboard? Okay, ang fastest for this round is Miss Lovely Darina Tabhan, but our overall champion is Miss Alisa Beatriz Ratilla. Yay! Congratulations po. And dahil sa ating sponsor, sino kaya second, no? Ang fast, okay, so according sa ating sponsor, no, para masaya po ang lahat, meron po tayong top 2 na kukunin. So it is Miss Alisa Beatriz Atilla and Miss Lovely Dina or Dina Tabhan. So for all our winners from game 1 and game 2, si Ma'am Rosemary Dumag, and for this game is Miss Alisa Beatriz and Miss Lovely. Kindly message us your details so we will contact you for your prize na tumataginting na 100 pesos GCash. So congratulations again. I'll be stop sharing. And for now, we will now proceed with the open forum. So again po, if you have any question for our speaker, kindly key in it in our chat box. So wag na po mahiyang magtanong. Okay, si Miss Alisa. So earlier, parang may mga question na po tayo, no? From Mr. Jude and Miss Alisa.
10,000.
Wow.
Chicken and meat.
Sino po yan? May magsa-sponsor po ba ng 10,000? Ay, wala po. Okay. Sige po. So, yung first question po kanina is from Mr. Jude Espadilla. So, he asked po that I see some food prep. Pagkaluto pa lang, hindi muna tinatakpan para daw mag-evaporate ang heat and moisture. Nagkakos daw po ng pagkapanis. Can you debunk kung tama po ba, Ma'am Elaine?
Okay, thank you for that, Miss Elise. So I guess i-reiterate lang natin yung kanina. Ano po? So yes po, sir. Ang pangalan ni Sir, yan, Sir Jude. We agree po doon sa notion na binubuksan natin yung food para mag-evaporate ang heat. So, inaalaw na lang natin siyang mag-escape into the open air kesa po i-kulob natin yung food. Kapag i-close po natin siya in a container, ang heat po natin ay magiging magpapawis, diba? Magiging pawis po doon sa ating container, and that will offer opportunity sa ating mga bacteria in form po nung added moisture doon sa ating container or sa atmosphere ng ating food kapag close. Kaya po, yes po, it's better na open po, i-open muna natin siya habang pinapalamig. Okay. Salamat po.
Okay po. So, our next question is from our Game 2 winner, Miss Alisa Beatriz Ratilla. She asked po if microorganisms are capable of growing in a pH range of 4.6 to 7. What happens to microorganisms when they are in high acid foods or alkaline foods?
So yung pH 4.6 to 7, dito po mataas ang chance nila na mag-grow. So meaning, yung mga pH outside that range, nati-discourage po ang growth nila. So at pH na mababa o yung acidic na food, so little to none talaga ang growth ng microorganisms natin doon. So meaning, safe ang range na yon para sa ating microorganisms.
Okay. Okay naman po tayo
I
sa
mean,
answer.
safe meaning hindi sila na-encourage mag-grow. Apo, just to clarify. Okay.
Okay, so for our third question, we have from Cheryl Asilan Gailoa. What is the probability of microbial growth in the drying process of food products?
Sige po. So ito, when we dry our food products, we're actually decreasing the probability of microbial growth. Kasi in this step or in this action, what are we actually doing? We're actually reducing the moisture content of our food or the water activity ng ating pagkain. So when we dry, we lower the water activity and the moisture content. Thus, pinaprevent natin or nare-reduce natin yung risk for microbial growth.
Okay. So, Ma'am Elaine, no, curious question lang. So, bakit kaya napapanis yung mga pagkain? Kunwari, mainit pa, nilalagay natin sa ref or yung sinasabi nyo kanina, yung nagpapawis.
So I think ang concept natin dito kapag sinubject natin yung pagkain na mainit pa sa ref na controlled ang temperature, hindi ba parang mas napoprolong natin yung exposure ng pagkain natin sa temperature danger zone? Kasi pag iniref natin siya, hindi naman yan basta babagsak to -5 na temperature, di ba? Since ang init niyang ipinasok doon. So ang tendency is since malamig, babagsak siya, instead of staying hot, babagsak siya papunta sa temperature danger zone natin. And then, kapag nandun siya sa temperature na yon, hindi naman magiging abrupt na, na mas nalalamig siya. So, yung prolonged exposure sa temperature danger zone still exposes the food for possible growth of microorganisms. Kaya better na mas mapalamig muna natin yung pagkain bago natin sila i-store sa ref.
Okay. So, may nag-PM po dito, no? Ano daw po ang connection between grilling and cancer?
So yung grilling kasi and cancer, so pagka nag-grill kasi tayo ng food, so andun yung scenario of yung extreme na denaturation ng meat natin. So yung extreme temperature na char yung meat. So meron tayong mga na-form na compound. So ito yung mga, wait lang po, yung mga heterocyclic amines na sinasabi natin. So, they have shown, according to sa mga reported studies, na ang mga compounds na ito ay nag-i-increase ng risk for cancer. So, yung mga charred na meat natin, as much as possible, i-reduce natin or i-lessen ang consumption.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Elaine. And also po, iba you mentioned earlier na we need to pre-pack na yung ating mga meats and yung ating mga ingredients for outdoor cooking. So how long po kaya can the meat and poultry be marinated?
In terms of marinating, pwede natin siyang i-stay. Actually, kaya niyang mag-stay up to 24 hours. So, ito yung ideal. Although, merong mga reports na pwede silang mag-last until 5 days sa refrigerator. But of course, magkakaroon din tayo ng certain issues sa texture ng meat kasi kumbaga, mabababad na yung meat natin and the texture will not be that, that palatable sa atin. But ideally, up to 24 hours, pwede tayong mag-store ng ating marinade. Thank you.
Okay, so meron tayong question. Let me check the chat box. So from Miss Cheryl Custodio, is it safe to consume coffee past expiry date even if it's sealed?
So, actually, hindi lang mag-a-apply sa coffee, no, but in general for the food products. So, if food safety po ang ating pag-uusapan, we are discouraging everyone to consume products beyond their expiry date.
Okay. So again po sa mga winners, no, isa pa lang po ang nag-PM sa amin, which is Miss Alisa. So for the rest, kindly PM your number. So if you have any more question, kindly type your message in the chat box. So do we have any more? Okay, so meron po tayo from IHNF. So very good presentation by Miss Elaine. So the outline is clear and comprehensive, and I am Shalisa University Research Associate at the Institute of Human Nutrition and Food at the University of the Philippines, Las Bañas. So, morning, Ma'am Jalisa. I just would like to ask what are the current initiatives, such as the services available, projects, research being worked on, tools developed of the DOST-FNRI in terms of food safety that we should watch out for. Thank you very much.
Sige, thank you for that, Miss Jalaisa. July sa ano. So actually medyo marami ang pwede nating isagot dito, and since food safety is everybody's responsibility, as part of the scientific community, the Department of Science and Technology has established its integrated food safety program. So we have launched the DOST-IFSP or Integrated Food Safety Program since 2017. So meron po itong 4 na major components, and dito po napapaloob ang iba't ibang initiatives ng ating department when it comes to food safety. It may range from technology development, like for example, yung development ng mga yung dipstick for salmonella para ma-identify natin outright kung meron bang salmonella ang ating foods, and also yung mga hand washing facilities. So you can actually tune in sa mga pages ng DOST, ranging from the DOST Central Office page up to the regional offices, para masubaybayan po natin yung patuloy na efforts ng aming ahensya when it comes to implementing the food safety in response sa Food Safety Act of 2013.
Okay, thank you so much, Eleno. Ma'am Eleno, so marami po talagang initiative, hindi lang po ng DOST, FNRI, but the whole DOST system. So dito po, di ba usually you mentioned po, Ma'am Elaine, na kailangan maghugas tayo ng kamay, but what if hindi po available yung mga hand washing facilities? Is hand sanitizer enough po, or yung alcohol before eating?
Okay, so yung applying hand sanitizer, actually kasi it's handy, so it's easier. But
Mm.
to be honest, even the ones with sufficient alcohol content, they cannot remove all types of bacteria and viruses. So sana as much as possible, ito sa ating mga facilities ang kailangang i-secure nila, because soap and hand washing with soap and water, ito pa rin talaga yung ultimate nating a measure for food safety. Kasi ang soap and water, unlike sanitizers and alcohol, hindi nila nasasaid yung mga microorganisms. Unlike yung soap and water, even yung mga foodborne illness-causing na mga germs like the norovirus, the Clostridium, kaya niyang mapatay. So again, we highly encourage na merong facilities for hand washing sa ating mga destinations na pipiliin.
Ayun po, may nag-follow up question po. Can we use wipes instead?
Kung talagang, let's say, ang sitwasyon natin ay absence talaga ng hand washing facilities, so at least may measure tayo, kung may access tayo sa wipes, then it may do, pero hindi natin ma-guarantee na talagang natatanggal niyang lahat. Ayun po.
Okay. So another question po is that, diba, during hiking, as much as possible, we pack light. So in that case po, is it safe to reuse yung mga food packaging materials?
So in terms of reusables, depende yon sa ating packaging material. Let's check kung ano yung grade ng packaging material natin, if pwede natin siyang ma-reuse or not. So we can check kung ano yung, meron po tayong pwedeng ma-consult na mga materials, kung ano yung meaning ng, for example, yung number 5 na mga container. So pwede natin i-check kung anong meaning nun at kung paano natin sila ma-reuse, kung ano yung level of reusing this type of material. But definitely, yung mga cartons natin, yung mga paper boards na mga ginagamit natin, ayun, hindi po natin sila pwedeng i-reuse.
Okay, so if you have any more questions or inputs po, kindly type them in the chat box. So I'm not sure, ma'am, na answer na po ba ito, yung what is the probability of microbial growth?
Yes po, na-answer na natin. So made-decrease natin yung probability since tinatanggalan natin ang moisture content yung ating food.
Ito naman po, medyo, is it safe to reuse oil used for frying? Food safety concern po.
Okay, so a number of studies tell us that reheating yung cooking oil can release harmful toxins, and also yung occurrence ng ating trans fat when we successively subject ang ating mga mantika sa paulit-ulit na pagluluto. So it also can become rancid, give rise to free radicals, and give us kumbaga expose us to opportunities ng exposure sa ganoong mga chemical hazards, ano po. Kaya reheating oil is actually being discouraged, no, sa pagdating sa food safety. It's safer for us na hindi i-reheat pa ulit-ulit ang ating mantika. Okay.
So from Miss Cheryl, which is safe to store marinade po? Glass containers or plastic? Thank you.
Sige po. In terms of quality na ma-reuse, yung glass talaga ang pwede nating i-reuse over and over again. So kung may available tayong glass, much better. Pero we understand that if nagta-travel tayo, at least ang intention natin is to pack lightly, ano po. So meron po tayong yung mga plastic. So make sure po na hindi na ito matagal na ginagamit na plastic, like yung mga newly purchased na mga containers ang gamitin natin na plastic containers.
Okay, so in the interest of time, we will be only accommodating isa na lang po. So if you have any more questions for our resource speaker, kindly leave your details in the chat box and we will get back to you. So for our last question, siguro po ito. Are canned foods unsafe to eat if the can is dented? So siguro po nagbabaon sila ng canned foods, Ma'am Elaine.
Okay. So in terms of yung physical na inspection, ano po, we do not encourage na mag-purchase tayo ng mga cans na meron ng dents, and lalo na yung may mga bulge or mga bulging na cans na, because these dents sa ating cans can actually put stresses sa mga seals ng ating mga lata. And kapag may stress yung ating mga cover, ating mga seal, it can actually cause them to leak. And if that happens, microorganisms can then enter the product, survive, multiply, and cause the food to spoil. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Elaine, for that very productive Q&A. No, again, if you have any more questions, you may leave them or PM the host for this webinar. Okay, so before we end po and we call on our OIC Office of the Director, may I request everyone for a group photo. So kindly open po if you are able ang ating mga videos. Currently, we are 142 in the Zoom with 6 slides. So, sige, hintay lang po natin mag-open ng ating mga participants. Okay. Ayos-ayos lang ng hair. Okay. Okay na po. So, I'll be starting with the panel 1. So, 1. On my count, 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay, for panel 2. Smile lang po tayo kasi medyo random ang ating placement, no? 1, 2, 3. Okay, panel 3. Okay, panel 4. Panel 5. And panel 6. Yan. So again, thank you so much sa inyong mga ngiti for this picture session, group picture session. So to conclude the webinar, let us all hear from the officer in charge of the Office of the Deputy Director and the Chief of Technology Diffusion and S&T Services Division, Dr. Milflor S. Gonzalez. Good morning po, Doc Mil.
Good morning, Elise. Magandang umaga po sa lahat at maraming salamat po sa pagsama niyo po sa amin ngayong araw na ito. First of all, gusto ko pong pasalamatan kayo for your very active engagement in the DOST-FNRI F&N Talks Episode 3 on Food Safety. Safety sa tag-inEAT, led by the Food and Nutrition Marketing Unit of the Technology Transfer and Commercialization Section, Technology, Diffusion, and Science and Technology Services Division. My appreciation also to our resource speaker, Ms. Rose Elaine P. Gilaran, Senior Science Research Specialist of the Food Quality and Safety Section of the Nutrition, Food Research and Development Division of DOST-FNRI, for sharing her knowledge and tips on food safety for summer. Research-based information on food safety is one of the messages that the Institute is diffusing to various stakeholders like the food industry, food technology licensees, health and nutrition professionals, students and frontline workers, and the public through mainstream and online media, as well as via virtual platforms. Today's F&N Talks was originally intended for students taking up food and nutrition and related courses, as well as allied professionals. However, like in previous F&N Talks, we are pleased that participants from other fields and institutions are also attending. Food safety is a fundamental public health concern, not only during this critical time of the pandemic and during summer or warm weather, but also in our day-to-day lives. Foodborne illnesses due to lack of food safety can make us more vulnerable to the COVID-19 virus because of weakened immunity. Complicating this is the fact that during summer and warm weather, food is more susceptible to spoilage. Given these conditions for foodborne illnesses, food safety should be both individual and household commitment and practice. Thus, aside from being cautious of the food we buy and consume, personal hygiene and cleanliness of food preparation areas and utensils should also be observed. Food safety can be a very technical topic. That is why, through the F&N Talks, we strive to laymanize concepts with identified audiences without sacrificing scientific accuracy. For this reason also, scientific information transformed into comprehensible tips can be easier to understand and remember. I am confident that all of us will have takeaway learnings from our food F&N Talks today that we can share with our families, friends, and associates. We hope that in one way or another, you can be instrumental in promoting and practicing food safety at home and other locations where we eat. On behalf of the DOST-FNRI and our director, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa, let me take this opportunity to also announce our upcoming 75th anniversary this coming July. We are also inviting you to attend the 48th seminar series on food and nutrition researches and science and technology activities on July 7 to 8 via hybrid platform. Stay tuned to our Facebook page for updates on these events. Again, thank you for your active participation and for taking time from your hectic schedules to attend this webinar. Magandang umaga pong muli sa lahat at mag-ingat po tayo. Over to you, Elise.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Gonzalez, for that closing remark. So, just a quick reminder again, kindly accomplish the attendance form so that the evaluation form will be sent to your registered email. Again, for the game winners, Miss Rosemary, Miss Alisa, and Miss Lovey, congratulations po. Kindly PM us your details. And that concludes our webinar. So thank you everyone for joining and sticking with us till the end. And we hope to see you on the 48th FNRI seminar series and the next episode of Food and Nutrition Talks. So God bless po and have a nice day.
Salamat po.
Po.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Salamat po ulit.
Thank you, ma'am.
A pleasant and vibrant morning to everyone. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Nandito po muli ang DOST-FNRI Buwan ng Ulat kasama ang inyong lingkod, Dr. Imelda Angeles Agdepa. Kagaya ng mga nakalipas na buwan ng Enero hanggang Marso, Handog namin sa inyo ngayon ang mga ginagawa ng DOST-FNRI nitong nakalipas na buwan ng Abril. DOST-FNRI launched 8 new nutritious food technologies for children, adults, pregnant, and lactating women last April 27. With the theme, Bagong Produkto, Bagong Pag-asa, Swak sa Masa. This was attended by 850 participants coming from different sectors like micro, small, and medium enterprises, government agencies like DepEd, DSWD, and DTI, non-government organizations, LGU, and other government offices, and existing and potential DOST-FNRI technology adopters. The 8 new food products are Coco Blend, Coco Biscuit, Coco Puff, Milusog in a pack with a pork picadillo, chicken pochero, and mixed veggies and arroz variants. Nutribonnets, protein food bar, MNERC, and of course, the MGM growth mix. These new products are ideal for feeding programs of our partner agencies like DepEd, DSWD, NNC, the LGU, and other government agencies and non-government agencies. These products are also very convenient for disaster and emergency relief operations and for general consumption. As always, our new food products are jam-packed with nutrients to provide at least 1/3 of the daily recommendation or for specific nutrients. The new bakery products also respond to reducing the cost of the product because we have substituted around 30% of the wheat flour with coconut flour. We know very well that the cost of wheat flour in the market has increased significantly because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. Both Russia and Ukraine accounts for about 29% of global wheat export. Food demonstration on the production of DOST-FNRI bakery products and recipes was also conducted last April 7. This food demo aimed at encouraging and mobilizing our technology licensees and prospect inventors to use other flour or raw materials to address the wheat flour's skyrocketing cost. A presentation of the nutritional value of using other flour, like coconut flour, was presented. The food products featured in this event were products with squash like hot squash pandesal and yummy squash loaf bread, also sweet potato pan de yema, and Big Mo pancakes. Potential licensees of the technologies were encouraged to send their letters of intent to the DOST-FNRI. To date, we already have received 8 letters of intent. DOST-FNRI releases also 6 new policy statements as part of our second mandate, that is to recommend policy options on food and nutrition. We'd like to inform you that these policy statements are derived from our completed researches and have been disseminated to stakeholders, especially national and local policy makers. The purpose, which is to provide science-based inputs to policymaking and legislative agenda in crafting administrative and department orders, as well as bills and resolutions in Congress. These policy statements are available at the DOST website also.